voice can break the dark. A single spark ignites the heart. But if we turn when justice calls, the chains we forge will bind us all. When truth is silenced, when lies take hold, the cost is freedom, the soul grows cold. No one stands tall while another must fall. Freedom for one depends on freedom for all. We're mavericks of freedom, rebels in the fight, defending every voice, defending every right. For the moment we falter, the moment we stall, we lose our own freedom when we let others fall. You can't stand free while others kneel. When justice fades, it's freedom they steal. An innocent condemned, a crime unspoken, and with it the bond of liberty is broken. No tyrant rules without our consent. Oppression thrives where silence is spent. Stand for the weak, the silence is small, or freedom will crumble for us all. We're mavericks of freedom, guardians of the light, fighting for the truth, for what is just and right. For the rights of one are the rights of all. We rise or we fall by answering the call. Even those we may oppose deserve the rights we all uphold. For if we deny them what is fair, we build our own prison in despair. The fight's not easy, it never will be, but justice for one is the key to be free. We stand as mavericks, together we strive, defending the rights that keep freedom alive. We're mavericks of freedom, rebels in the fight, upholding every truth, protecting every right. When one is oppressed, we're all in the thrall. Freedom for one depends on freedom for all. So take a stand, let your courage rise. Defend the truth, don't compromise. For the soul of the world, the writing's on the wall. Freedom for one depends on freedom for all.
Greetings, Mavericks and new viewers. Tonight, direct and live from the Maverick News Network World Studios. This is Maverick News with Rick Walker.
Welcome to Meet the Press Now. I'm Kelly O'Donnell. At the end of a historically volatile day of trading on Wall Street, it has been a wild ride with huge swings in both directions after stocks plummeted last week. The Dow alone experienced a 2,600-point swing today, its biggest ever, finally ending the day down more than 300 points. The S&P 500 at one point today hit what traders call a bear market, down 20% off recent highs. This is a time lapse of trading today, as investors seem to be hanging on every word and every tea leaf from the president and the White House, with tariffs at levels not seen in 100-plus years about to go into effect, and conflicting messages about potential off-ramps, negotiations, or even more tariffs. The president today threatening to impose an additional 50% levy on imports from China unless it rescinds its retaliatory tariffs on the U.S. The president also holding a meeting with his close ally, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, after earlier today touting on social media the possibility of, quote, negotiations with other countries on tariffs. Now, despite some White House officials saying just the opposite. Moments ago, President Trump told reporters that he is not considering a short-term pause on the new tariffs, but that he is willing to be engaged in negotiations.
We have many countries that are coming.
This is the way it has been again today. Because of Donald Trump's tariffs. We'll talk about that, and we'll get you more about what he was saying during this meeting at the White House today. Also, Danielle Smith, Alberta Premier, in my view, went full-blown feminist on Mark Carney today. I don't see anybody else picking up on this. I just see hypocrisy and irony in it, and I'll show you what I'm talking about, and then maybe we'll even go to the phones at some point so you guys can share your thoughts on this. They're getting into it, and it's entertaining, and it brings back memories of something from 35 years ago. And I'm going to connect those dots as well, and then show you why I think that what she's doing today is just incredibly, well, we'll get to it. We'll get to it. Danielle Smith going full-blown feminist on us. And what else do we have for you today? I need your help with something to research a quote from Mark Carney, the Prime Minister, now seeking a new level of credibility by being elected for the first time to a position as a member of Parliament in this election in Canada. So a lot of Canadian stuff here tonight, folks. I apologize to our American viewers, but our country is under threat. Your president wants to take us over, or so we're told. I have no reason not to believe him at this point. And there is an election on. So Canadian politics is American politics. American politics is Canadian politics. And there's nobody who is more of an influence on this election right now than Donald J. Trump. I shall return. Stay with me. There's a lot more ahead.
Greetings, brave Mavericks. Our quest for truth continues. We go beyond fake news. Together we expose propaganda. Together we pull others out of rabbit holes. We are maverick thinkers. We are all unique individuals, defenders of individual rights and freedoms, credible, trusted, grounded in reality. Maverick News, Maverick News. Defending free speech, Donate at freedomreporters.com. Do it now. Tomorrow may be too late. Maverick News. The world is watching.
All right, we're back. So yeah, crazy day. We teed all that up, and that's the way media outlets have been sharing the chaos with the public tonight. Is the way we opened the program. And yes, indeed, Trump did meet with Benjamin Netanyahu today, and also took questions from media. So let's go to that. And here we go. Donald Trump.
Reaction to the markets today, and would you be open into a pause in tariffs to allow for negotiations?
Well, we're not looking at that. We have many, many countries that are coming to negotiate deals with us, and they're going to be fair deals. And in certain cases, they're going to be paying substantial tariffs. There'll be fair deals. As you know, I spoke this morning with the Prime Minister of Japan, and we had a very good conversation. They're coming. And I said, one thing, you're going to have to open up your country, because we sold no cars, like 0 cars in Japan. And they sold millions of cars into our country. They don't really take our agriculture, a little bit of it just to keep us slightly happy, but they don't take what they're supposed to be taking. So we have a great relationship with Japan. We're going to keep it that way, but they're coming in to meet, and other countries are coming in. With China, as you know, against my statement, they put a 34% tariff on above what their ridiculous tariffs were already. And I said, if that tariff isn't removed by tomorrow at 12 o'clock, we're putting a 50% tariff on above the tariffs that we put on. So they've gone for years. They've become a rich country because of people, again, that were in the White House that allowed this to happen. Hundreds of billions of dollars a year they'd make on us on trade, and it shouldn't be that way. And I have a great relationship with President Xi. I hope it's going to stay that way. I have great respect for China. But they can't do this. We're going to have one shot at this, and no other president's going to do this, what I'm doing. And I'll tell you what, it's an honor to do it, because we have been just destroyed, what they've done to our system. You know, we have $36 trillion of debt for a reason. And the reason is that people allowed it to get that way. So we'll be talking to China. We'll be talking to a lot of different countries. And I think, you know, if we can make a really fair deal and a good deal for the United States, not a good deal for others. This is America first. It's now America first. And we didn't put America first. We put America last. The people that were in the Oval Office put America last, and we're not going to stand for it.
Two questions. Do you expect any of these deals to be made before April 9th? And secondly, there have been some mixed messages from your administration. You're talking about negotiations, and yet others in your administration are saying that these tariffs are actually permanent. What is the action?
Well, it could be. They can both be true. There can be permanent tariffs, and there can also be negotiations, because there are things that we need beyond tariffs.
Joining us now, co-host of the evening edition of MSNBC's The Weekend. And
okay, so that's enough of that. Now, the fallout from this just continues. It is chaotic. And I'm sure that no other president is going to do what Donald Trump is doing. No other president is going to do what Donald Trump is doing. No other president has, no other president will. Because this is insane. Richard Branson. You know Richard Branson? From the Virgin Company, right? Billionaire. He weighed in on this again today. Let's just read a little bit of his thread from X. He says here, the ongoing market response to last week's U.S. tariff announcement was both predictable and preventable. Even if you agree with the premise of these tariffs, every reasonable effort should be made to give U.S. companies sufficient time to adapt. Indeed. He goes on here. This is 4 different posts. So that was one of 4. I see. Here's another. Strong leadership means taking risks and trying things, but when it doesn't work, realizing your mistake and correcting it quickly. Yes. Then he goes on here. It's not just about the economy. Countries that trade fairly and healthily prosper and flourish. They reduce poverty, improve health and education, and decrease the likelihood of war. Yes. Then he goes on here and says, courage and self-awareness are cornerstones of true leadership. That includes quickly acknowledging errors and making corrections. With a swift reversal back to sensible economic policy, America and the rest of the world can still avoid the catastrophic fallout of these tariffs. And then here he says, this is the moment to own up to a colossal mistake and change course. Otherwise, America will face ruin for years to come. And that echoes my view on this, as I have been stating for quite some time. I said it again last night. If these tariffs remain in place the way they are for any real length of time, there will not be a recession. There will be a global depression. It will plunge all Western economies at least into a recession, and in some cases a depression. And that depression will come home to roost in the United States of America. And the U.S. will probably pay the biggest price as a result of all this, because all these other countries, Canada, the EU, Britain, Japan, China, all these countries will engage in new trading relationships to minimize the damage and forge a new future, leaving the United States behind. These tariffs will only make the United States less competitive in the short run and in the long run, because tariffs are protectionist. And for all those of you out there who, like me, thought Trump was certainly back, in his first term as president, I was still of the mind that he was something of a conservative, but I see that I never really took him to be a full-blown conservative, having been a member of the Democrat Party at one point, then moving over into this role as leader of MAGA and taking over the Republican Party. This is not conservatism. This is not conservative. There's nothing conservative about what Donald Trump is doing. His administration is not conservative. This is not conservatism. Can I say that one more time? This is not conservatism. He is not a conservative. He is some sort of a neo-populist. There's a lot of socialism. And I'll tell you this, he's not a free market guy. Conservatives are generally free marketers. A free market capitalistic system. The most successful economic system in the history of mankind, that has raised more people out of poverty and spread affluence all around the world through liberal democracies. When I say liberal, I mean classical liberalism, liberal democratic countries, not like big L liberal, like the Liberal Party in Canada. I'm talking about the kind of liberalism that is based on the Enlightenment, property rights, these kinds of concepts that are, at the very core, conservative in nature. And as a conservative, I seek to preserve those values. But not so Donald Trump. He is there tearing everything down, and doing so without apology or reservation. And he is obstinate, not listening to any advice from anyone telling him that, hey, Donald, you've set your own house on fire, refusing to listen to economists, extremely successful business people like Mr. Branson, whose book I actually read. You might want to check that out. He has a great autobiography out from years ago, talking about Virgin and how he made his fortune, and it gives real insight into how to make a lot of money in today's economy, global economy. So he knows of what he speaks, and Donald Trump has his hands over his ears, not listening, and not just not listening to people who are learned and knowledgeable about such things, but also just not listening to the markets. Does not care, calling these tariffs a beautiful thing. I don't think they're really a beautiful thing at all. They're very destructive, dangerous even. Dangerous. Now, speaking of the tariffs, it is the subject that was front and center again today in the Canadian election. And hang on here a second. Okay, I'm not gonna bother with those clips because I'm gonna give you guys a chance to talk if I can. So we'll save that time for you tonight. Okay, Pierre Poilievre. I mean, Alberta energy is, sort of the key to a lot of this discussion. Because in Canada's case, we know that Trump has his eye on Canada to annex it, possibly, and certainly has his eye on Alberta. I can't believe, though, how some people who are, some political leaders and still think that this is some sort of joke. And saying that, I won't get into who's still saying it, but I just watched an interview with a politician who's faded into the background after a lot of years, but saying that he's an Alberta politician, and he said that it started off with a joke for Trump, but some central Canadian influencers and media took it seriously, and it should never have been taken seriously. If it had been taken as a joke, it wouldn't have we wouldn't be at this point. And it's so to him it's still something of a joke that got out of hand. It was never a joke. It's part of a plan. And if you can't see that now, you just got blinders on, or you're just not looking deep enough. Because this is not politics as normal or as usual. This is all new. That's why I say even Donald Trump and the political ideology driving this is not conservatism. People, he's a conservative. I'm a conservative. No, he's not conservative. This is not. This is dangerous, what he's engaging in. And I didn't see it coming. You know why? The other reason I didn't see this coming is because during the RNC convention, heading into during the election campaign, the rhetoric that we were hearing, at some of the campaigns at the rallies was sometimes pretty intense and even extreme at times. But then when you get to the RNC convention, it was dialed down, the rhetoric. And I remember watching it thinking, there are actually some progressive elements in the messaging that is coming out during this RNC convention, right? For the Republicans. And there's Trump sitting there in the audience watching, and, as they talk about inclusiveness and they brought some of these ideas out, whether that was disingenuous and just messaging aimed at trying to broaden the political umbrella to scoop up additional voters to, expand the base person, not really the base, but it's not the base MAGA people, but expand the appeal of the party, or maybe cloak what he was going to do with more welcoming language. So that was the messaging I was getting from the convention, was that, okay, you got all this hardline rhetoric over there, but it's softer over here. You're going to get something in the middle probably, but no, man, we're getting something pretty gosh darn hard, pretty hardline stuff. That's That's what I'm getting. And, I think a lot of Republicans, even here we go with like Ted Cruz and Rand Paul, they're speaking out against these tariffs because the fallout continues. The tariffs are destabilizing. And Trump has targeted virtually the entire world. He's gone to war, launched a trade war against the entire world. And so even, these, I would call Ted Cruz a conservative. I don't think he's so, I don't know anymore where some of these guys stand. But here, take a look at this, okay? We'll just run this. This is a video montage from ABC highlighting the Rand Paul and Ted Cruz position. It says, as fallout continues from President Donald Trump's tariff policies, some Republican senators are warning about the risks for American families. I'm going to mute the audio. Tariffs are a tax on consumers, says Ted Cruz, and I'm not a fan of jacking up taxes on American consumers. That was during an interview on Fox. And hang on, we'll get the next slide up here from ABC. And here's Rand Paul. Despite arguments to the contrary, he says, Americans know tariffs are a tax they're going to have to pay. And that's exactly how that works. When the goods arrive at the border, it isn't the country or the company that's exporting the goods to the United States that pays. It is, it's the purchaser, the company, the wholesaler, the retail, whoever. Whoever's buying it on the American side pays the tariff. So you end up, they end up buying less because it costs that much more. Senator John Kennedy says tariffs are like whiskey. A little whiskey under the right circumstances can be refreshing, but too much whiskey under the wrong circumstances can make you drunk as a goat. Yeah, well, and sick. In fact, you can get alcohol poisoning. If you drink too much, beware. So Canada, doing their best here to navigate through this. It has become part of the election campaign, no doubt about that. I got attacked, something fierce, by some people overnight. I'll show you. I think I'm going to show you one of the messages that came in the comments section from one of the video channels last night. We'll get to that in a moment. But first, let's go to Pierre Poilievre, who today, because of all of this, of course, there's a lot of attention being focused on, opening up trade between provinces, getting east-west pipelines built. And today, Pierre Poilievre, I believe out in BC, out there with his conservative candidate, Ellis Ross. Ellis Ross, by the way, I find him to be extremely smart. He's the candidate for Skeena Bulkley Valley, and he's a prominent figure in British Columbia politics. He served as member of the Legislative Assembly for Skeena from 2017 to 2024, initially from the BC Liberal Party, later rebranded as BC United. He's a former chief counsel of the Haisla Nation. And Ellis Ross has a strong background in Indigenous leadership and resource development advocacy, notably playing a key role in negotiating significant liquefied natural gas projects such as the Kitimat LNG initiative. Now, he announced his shift to federal politics in January of 2024, left his provincial role to run under the Conservative banner. And his platform emphasizes economic development through resource projects, reducing bureaucratic obstacles, opposing the carbon tax, and supporting individual freedoms, such as the right to keep hunting rifles. As a candidate, he's hoping to challenge the new Democratic Party's hold on Skeena Bulkley Valley, a riding that the NDP has controlled since its creation in 2004. Currently represented by Taylor Backrock, Ross's candidacy reflects his long-standing commitment to empowering communities through sustainable resource development. It also aligns with the Conservative Party's common sense agenda. And he was out there, or Pierre Poilievre was out there with Ellis Ross today. Here's how that went down. And Pierre is talking here about accelerating resource projects.
Okay. Thank you very much, CJ. Hello, everyone. I'm Ellis Ross. I'm your Conservative candidate for Skeena-Bulkley Valley, and I want to thank you for coming today. I have the honor of hosting Pierre Poilievre today for our Canada First announcement. After his Liberal lost decade with costs up and crime up and our economy down and under America's thumb, it's clear that the Liberals don't deserve a fourth term. It's time to put Canada first for a change. With a new Conservative government that will axe taxes, build homes, unleash our resources, stop crime, and bring home jobs to stand up to Trump from a position of strength. Pierre Poilievre is the only one who can bring change to Canada. Here to tell you more about our plan, I have the pleasure of introducing the only man who can stop Mark Carney. Would you please welcome the leader of the Canada First Conservatives, Pierre Poilievre.
Thank you very much. Thanks, Alice. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Alice. And thank you, Cyril, for bringing greetings on behalf of Chief Bennett. And you said that you're not as tall as the two of us. The important thing is that your legs are long enough to reach the ground. So thank you very much for a great prayer and a wonderful land acknowledgement to welcome us to this great land of yours. And merci beaucoup à Ellis Ross, un grand chef autochtone, l'ancien chef des Haisla, qui est responsable pour avoir négocié la construction de GNL.
Let's get to the English. Hang on just a moment. Here we go. And back we go. Okay, we're going to get to the English now.
Mais avant de commencer avec notre annonce aujourd'hui, permettez-moi de commenter la situation économique qu'on voit aujourd'hui. I should say just quickly in English before I get started, Ellis Ross is our great candidate for this region. He is a former MLA. He is also the former first councillor of the Haisla First Nation, who personally helped negotiate the single biggest infrastructure project in Canadian history. LNG Canada, $40 billion of investment brought to this region because of his leadership, with First Nations being the primary beneficiaries. I need Ellis Ross on Parliament Hill helping me land more $40 billion LNG plants for our people nationwide on all the coasts. And I can't wait to bring the incredible riches to the Haisla, the Kitsala, the Niska, the Squamish, and countless other coastal First Nations who want to build LNG export terminals. They know that Prime Minister Harper was right to approve LNG Canada. They know that that project could only have happened without C-69, the anti-development liberal law that Mark Carney wants to keep in place. But speaking of economic matters, we are all watching the stock market with interest today. We have to acknowledge that this chaos is the direct result of wrong-headed, unnecessary, chaotic policies coming from President Trump. These tariffs are a massive distraction, and they remind us why it was such a mistake for the Liberals to make us so dependent on the Americans over the lost Liberal decade. Now, obviously, Mark Carney will be trotting out his trophy titles and the inflated hype around his false resume claims on this day. But let's be clear, at this time, the last thing we need is to take a risk on the failed ideas of Mark Carney. Mark Carney has been wrong about every major economic issue of our time. He was wrong to support carbon taxes. He was wrong to oppose pipelines. He was wrong 4 years ago when he said the biggest risk to the world was deflation and proposed hundreds of billions of dollars of money printing. He was wrong when he caused the inflation crisis in Great Britain and the housing crisis in that country. He's been universally condemned by the British media, even though back here in Canada, the media covers up his failed record and his terrible reputation in the United Kingdom. We cannot afford a fourth Liberal term of Mark Carney driving up spending, money printing, taxes, and inflation while blocking our resource projects. We cannot afford that risk. We need a new Conservative government for a change that will axe taxes, greenlight construction of homes, mines, pipelines, LNG plants, bring home our jobs so that we can reinforce our economic fortress against the Americans. In the short term, my government has already proposed an immediate response to help our seniors. We've proposed to delay by 2 years the time when seniors must withdraw their savings from their RSP and be taxed on it. This 2-year delay will save many seniors from being forced to crystallize losses they're experiencing on the stock market today. We know that seniors should not pay the price for Donald Trump's economic vandalism over the last several days, and that is why we will allow our seniors to keep their money invested until they regain their lost amounts. We've also announced that we will allow seniors who choose to work to earn up to $34,000 tax-free. That's $10,000 more than right now. Je veux dire premièrement
Okay. So that's basically where Poilievre was at today, and that's his announcement to unleash the wealth of resource development. Now, as all that's going on, there was fallout from, well, let's go to Mark Carney first today. He was also talking about seniors today, but as much as he was making an announcement about promising to help retirees deal with economic uncertainty, the conversation, the question session, the scrum with media today pivoted back to what else? The tariffs, the economy. Here's Mark Carney. Liberal.
Richer, pays for our social programs, gets good jobs, helps support our environment at the same time while using these gas. Mr. Aiken, please. Sorry. I know we're short on time, so
I'll be quick too.
No, I'll try and be quick.
David Aiken, Global News. Good morning.
Good morning.
I'd like to come back to the markets. Your investments are in a blind trust. You don't know how they're doing, but the rest of it.
They're going. I'm sure they're going down if they're.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I wondered, you're former Bank of Canada governor, former Bank of England governor. What do we make of this? What do businesses make of this? What can governments do, if anything?
Well, it's the key question. First off, I'll say I did speak to the governor of the Bank of Canada today. I spoke to the Minister of Finance. I spoke to a number of counterparts in the last 24 hours around the world, including his, as you know, Prime Minister Starmer. At present, let me say a few things and get to the heart of it. What you worry about in these types of situations, if you are charged with overseeing financial markets, are there problems that are being created by the markets themselves, the banks themselves? Are there weaknesses? We do not see that. We have rock solid financial institutions in this country, so they're not making it worse. Okay? So, but what is happening in the markets is they are reacting to what we have warned about, which is that these tariffs are fundamentally damaging to the American economy and by extension to the global economy. So what needs to be done in a situation like this is, yes, there's a lot of technical things and liquidity and lots of work, that needs to be done to make sure the markets function and the markets don't make it worse. I have confidence in the Governor of the Bank of Canada, Minister of Finance, they're on top of it, and also have confidence in Canadian institutions. So Canadians can be reassured on that. But what you need to do in a crisis, and I've long experience in this, is you need to meet it with overwhelming force. You need to meet it with overwhelming force. And the situation at the heart of this is uncertainty about U.S. policy or to make it worse, is greater certainty that U.S. policy will be self-harming to the American economy and therefore the global economy if the U.S. doesn't walk back from this tariff policy. We can't control the United States. We can't control President Trump's decision. We can speak, and we do, and influence and inform. We can control what we do here in this country, and that's why we're being clear about, and we've been clear from the start in terms of the huge payback if we have one Canadian economy, not 13. The huge payback for major projects of national interest. The ability to catalyze investment in this country of all sorts, and the importance of diversifying our trading relationships around the world. And I will say in the last 48 hours, I've had a series of conversations around exactly, well, in fact, all of those aspects. Sorry, David, I'll hand back. But, so the way we need, and what Canadians, I think the core message to Canadians is something I've said over and again, but I want to really emphasize. We can give ourselves far more than the U.S. can take away. So the U.S. is driving itself into a recession, pressure on the world if the U.S. doesn't change course. But what we can control is where we invest here, how we support our people, and that's what we're doing.
Interesting you mentioned about making sure markets work. You'll recall in the 08-09 fiscal crisis, you as governor took some steps to make sure that our banks were liquid. Prime Minister Harper took similar steps on fiscal policy. We came out of that recession faster, I think, than anybody else,
right,
because of some of the steps that we're taking. This time around, first of all, do you anticipate Canada and or North America entering a recession? Has that likelihood increased? And 3, what steps might a government take to, like you did in 08-09, make sure we come out of that recession more rapidly?
Exactly the right question. In terms of, yes, the probability of a recession in the United States has gone up significantly. You see that from independent commentators, and something that we had warned about, and I take no joy in it becoming more likely. That will have significant effects on the Canadian economy. It's very hard for us to avoid that area. That's part of the reason why in advance of this election we made the changes to EI to make it more generous. It's part of the reason why we made the changes to provide liquidity to Canadian companies so they're not pulling back unnecessarily. And I think that we're at a situation where those steps will help provide for companies the financing that's necessary in order to do. There's other things that can be done on the margin. What we're going to need to do, though, government, what Canadians will choose their government in a few weeks. My judgment, my government will act with force. We will accelerate major investments. We will provide very clear guidelines on where we're going to spend money, where the returns are going to be for the private sector, where we're going to take regulations away. I'll give you one example to make that tangible, David, but there are many more. We announced at the first ministers' meeting 2 weeks ago, 10 days ago, just before calling the election, that we will remove all federal barriers to interprovincial trade, mobility, and by Canada Day. We will table that legislation by Canada Day. We've left instructions for the officials to be developing that. We, as the Liberal Party, are developing that, and the first item of business, if we are returned, is going to be accelerating that, because that's the kind of certainty that you help to provide for business to make those investments. And Canada moves forward as Canada, not reading Truth Social and X and watching tweets down there. We'll take charge.
Okay, so there's all that, but I'll tell you, that stuff is not really what's capturing the public's attention right now. When we come back, we'll show you what is. And that is Alberta Premier Danielle Smith going full-blown feminist on Mark Carney.
Maverick News. The world is watching. Greetings, brave Mavericks. Our quest for truth continues. We go beyond fake news. Together we expose propaganda. Together we pull others out of rabbit holes. We are maverick thinkers. We are all unique individuals, defenders of individual rights and freedoms, credible, trusted, grounded in reality. Maverick News, Maverick News. Defending free speech, Donate at freedomreporters.com. Do it now. Tomorrow may be too late. Maverick News. The world is watching.
So this is a clip from overnight. Also Mark Carney. And here well, I'm going to run the clip. I'm not going to say too much about it, but then I will say something about it when we come back after listening to it. And this is what is dominating the news cycle in many respects tonight. Because it's, well, here, let's just get into it. Let's start with what kicked it all off.
We're fighting the Americans in the pocketbook. We have retaliatory tariffs on them. We just hit them again in the auto sector. We're fighting them on Fox News, which is what they understand. We're sending Doug Ford onto Fox News to show them that we're not messing around up here. And we're going to send Danielle next. Maybe we won't send her. We won't send Danielle. No, maybe we won't. We won't send Danielle. We're going to keep her. No, keep her. No, that's a bad idea. Forget. Strike that. Just ignore that back there. So we go. We're fighting the Americans.
I'm going to run it one more time. Listen to
them. We have retaliatory tariffs on them. We just hit them again in the auto sector. We're fighting them on Fox News, which is what they understand. We're sending Doug Ford onto Fox News to show them that we're not messing around up here. And we're going to send Danielle next. Maybe we won't send her. We won't send Danielle. No, maybe we won't. We won't send Danielle. We're going to keep her. No, keep her. No, that's a bad idea. Forget. Strike that. Just ignore that back there. So we go.
Okay, so I'm just going to look in the chat. Are you guys, and what are you saying in the chat about that? That was just nasty, jerk. I don't know. What? Lindy, I get what I don't get it. This is I don't get the reaction. And I'm gonna comment on this, and I'll explain why I'm of a different mind on it. Let me show you Danielle Smith reaction today. And Brian Lilly says, as he reposted this clip from Danielle Smith today, he says, Alberta Premier Danielle Smith was asked about Mark Carney making her the butt of jokes on the campaign trail. She says, progressive men like to say they support women, but they don't. Really? Okay, well, let's listen to what Danielle Smith says.
Jokes during the campaign.
Well, I've noticed this with progressive men, how much they talk about how much they support women until they meet a strong conservative woman. And so this is a pretty consistent type of approach that I've seen, not only from the current prime minister, but the former one as well. And the attitude is, sit down and shut up. Well, I don't shut up. I make sure that Albertans know exactly how I feel about issues. And I'm going to continue advocating on behalf of my province, whether he likes it or not.
I'm going to run his clip again. Now you tell me, does he say anything here at all about her being a woman? Does he say anything at all that could be taken as sexist? Does gender even come into the conversation here? All I'm hearing from him is political rhetoric. He's attacking her and he's joking around. It's politics. He's attacking her on her politics, not because she's a woman. At least that's not, I didn't hear anything sexist in this.
We're fighting the Americans in the pocketbook. We have retaliatory tariffs on them. We just hit them again in the auto sector. We're fighting them on Fox News, which is what they understand. We're sending Doug Ford onto Fox News to show them that we're not messing around up here.
Look, I mean, he's a liberal. The Fox News thing is their thing. That I think it's all fair game for him, and honestly, it's what you would expect from a liberal candidate. This is common to talk in these terms, but it's sort of alluding to Fox News as being whatever he thinks it is, and then when he gets to Danielle Smith, I don't hear him saying anything about her being a woman.
And we're going to send Danielle next. Maybe we won't send her. Maybe we'll send Danielle. No, maybe we won't. We won't send Danielle. We're going to keep her. No, keep her. No, that's a bad idea. Forget. Strike that. Strike that. Just ignore that back.
He doesn't say anything. He's attacking her because of her approach, the approach she has taken. She hasn't really been on the Team Canada team. She's been doing her own thing. She's been marching to the beat of her own little drum. Some people are applauding that, and they think that makes her a strong conservative. I was honestly taken aback when I heard her come out with that comment today, where she basically plays the feminist card. I thought, what? You're playing the feminist card? A strong conservative woman? It defies logic to me that she would be the one to jump to go straight to that, to use it as a shield, as a crutch, to use feminism. You're not allowed to attack me. That's exactly the response you would normally get from a woke feminist. And yet there she is, you playing the woman card, the feminist card, to use it as a political shield. You're not allowed to criticize me. I'm a woman. He didn't mention her gender. Frankly, I find it distasteful what she did. Women, if you want to get into politics, you better just, as far as I'm concerned, as long as it's just politics, it's policy, you're going to get attacked. But if you want to play the feminist card, you're in the wrong game. And I'm tired of that being played by the progressives, the progressive woke, if you want to call them woke, liberal, socialist, female politicians. At least with Jody Wilson-Raybould, when Trudeau fired her as the Attorney General because she wouldn't do what he wanted her to do on the SNC-Lavalin file. She wasn't the one who came out initially and started playing the feminist card. It was media who were attacking Trudeau for firing a woman and women. But here, Carney didn't say anything. He wasn't attacking her because she was a woman. First of all, I've got something from 35 years ago that I'm gonna show you and illustrate this point. And it will give my view on this, I think, some weight and credibility. But first, here's what was being said about all this on CBC. So here, honestly, Danielle Smith to me sounds just like any progressive, liberal woman feminist tonight, talking like that. She's using it as a crutch instead of responding to the politics.
Of course I'm going on Fox News, but the Danielle Smith situation, that ain't going over so well. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, so much for the all-Canada approach when you're trying to throw premiers under the bus to make the crowd laugh at your fundraiser in Victoria. I just listened to the other two talk about the
I said some days ago that Danielle Smith, who's walking around acting super tough, went down to Mar-a-Lago to kiss the ring, bend the knee, and suck up to Trump with letting Kevin O'Leary, who's not elected, tag along. For what reason exactly? I'm not sure. Except that he's a billionaire and has his own vested interests down there. And I would say a conflict of interest, maybe several, not the least of which is that he wants to buy TikTok and build a $14 billion oil refinery in the United States. And then he's down there with Danielle Smith at Mar-a-Lago making what kind of deal? We don't really know. But is she on Team Canada? I suspect maybe. I'm not so sure. And here she is now playing the feminist card.
premiers under the bus to make
and here you're talking about Carney being disrespectful to her. She's been nothing but disrespectful, frankly, to the rest of all the premiers, whether they're Conservative, New Democrat, Liberal, doesn't matter. She's just been talking tough to everybody. I've said before, if she was talking about using diplomacy to resolve this issue on the tariffs, well, I would suggest to Danielle Smith that she might try a little bit of diplomacy back the other way. But here we are with CBC coming to her defense, the progressive CBC coming to Danielle Smith's defense, the conservative Alberta premier. Isn't it interesting how politics makes such strange bedfellows?
The crowd laugh at your fundraiser in Victoria. I just listened to the other two talk about the professionalism of Mark Carney, and here he is making fun of the two premiers that have made leaps and bounds in these negotiations, including Doug Ford, who took over for the previous Liberal leader at the time we needed it the most, when his cabinet and his government were falling apart. So I don't think that's a very good look for Mark Carney, but also going back to kind of what Jono was saying, today at the wildest day on the stock market, I want to juxtapose the two leaders. So we had Pierre Poilievre talking about resource development and growing the economy. We had Mark Carney out talking about building parks and free summer vacations in Canada's parks. At a point, Canadians are going to say, how do we get out of this economic mess? And when you look at the history of terrible markets, for example, 2008, when we had Prime Minister Harper, we had Canada's Economic Action Plan, where we invested in resources, we invested in transportation, infrastructure projects, and Canada fared really well. Who today is of the two leaders are talking about that? That's Pierre Poilievre, not Mark Carney. And I think that as we continue the next couple of weeks of this campaign, and there is an eternity left in this race, that message will become clearer and clearer to Canadians as they say, this instability in the United States is hurting me, it's hurting my pocketbook, it's hurting my family, it's hurting future generations, and it's time that we invest in the leader that is going to invest in this country.
Mm-hmm. Politics. It's entertaining, isn't it? So I just did a little bit of Google searching before we came on the air to get some material prepped for this. But I went back and I found some stuff that Danielle Smith had, previously said about things like feminism, and I find this interesting. So I'll share it here. This goes back all the way to 2018. Danielle Smith, conservatives aren't welcome at Women's March. And she wrote this, I guess. Says, I betrayed my gender this weekend. I didn't go to the Women's March. In fact, I didn't even consider going to the Women's March. There's a lot of reasons why, which I'll get into in a minute. But let's say I wasn't surprised to hear other women felt the same. I was a bit surprised at the dog pile on Sonia Kant for tweeting out her thoughts on it. Quote, unpopular opinion. These ideological marches, like the one in Washington, does not empower women. Last time I checked, we all had the same rights in society, she tweeted on Saturday. Her second tweet read, quote, I'm all for democratic protests and marches, but this one has no clarity of purpose. There are better ways to empower women instead of playing identity politics in a march. Not only did this draw the ire of the Twitterverse, but it drew the particular wrath of Alberta's Status of Women Minister, Stephanie McLean, and MLA Sandra Jansen, who made the persnickety comment, quote, conservative women in the UCP weigh in on the Women's March 2018. No surprise here. That's right, because anyone who chooses not to march with their sisters actually secretly wants to live in the Handmaid's Tale. Kant happens to be a United Conservative Party volunteer, so her opinion was used as a shorthand to smear the entire party. No surprises there. So she's basically criticizing the current version of, feminism that is present in our society. What do they call it? Third wave feminism, I think they call it. So Danielle Smith can't identify with it. And yet, what am I seeing here? What does she do today when Carney does that? Now, he's down in the muck a little bit there because he's joking. Was he mocking? Well, it's politics. What does Trump do? I mean, compared to what Donald Trump does, that's nothing. He wasn't up there making up nicknames for her or anything like that. I think he was just kicking it back at them a little bit after some of the crap that's been slung at him. And I'm not sitting here trying to defend him. I'm just commenting on this because I have to say, though, I'm as a man, I'm really tired of that response from some women, in particular politicians, who are like, you're not allowed to criticize them because they're women. And as soon as you do, they pull out the feminist card. And so this coming from a conservative woman, leader, using it, in my view, as a shield and a crutch, I find it distasteful. And somewhat hypocritical, given that she's been critical of the women's movement for not really representing her as a woman. And yet she turns around and acts just like them. Why not just respond to the politics, the policy, maybe even the tone? Maybe it's an unfair mockery of her, if you want to call it mocking. I thought it was pretty mild, honestly. He just said, we're not going to send Danielle Smith to go negotiate. To me, that was him saying he doesn't like the approach she's been taking, which has been controversial. Doug Ford takes one approach, she takes the other, which is to say she's trying to be diplomatic with Trump or whatever, to go down there and kiss his ring, bend the knee, compliment him, stroke him a little bit, be all nicey nice, whatever. And people are applauding her. Oh, Danielle, you're such a strong conservative woman. But out of step with the rest of Team Canada. Because why? She's really just down there representing Alberta. And conservatives are like, oh, she's a conservative. Is she? Is she really a conservative? I think the UCP conservatives are a breed unto themselves, and I think they have an agenda of their own, especially with this rise in separatist sentiment. Yeah, I think maybe Danielle Smith has her own little agenda there, and maybe she's beholden to some people who helped get her elected. Yeah, I think in the UCP you'll find quite a few separatists. Separatism, I think it's right at the heart of the matter here, isn't it, really? Yeah, that's exactly what it is. And here's Danielle Smith protesting against all things woke, protesting against this current incarnation of feminism, coming out so strong against it. And yet, Mark Carney pokes a little fun at her, and she can't take it. So she just comes back and says that he's a weak progressive man who doesn't respect women. Plays the feminist card, straight up. Straight up. And then I see the conservatives just running to defend her. Whatever, man. It brought back memories from 35 years ago. I don't know if any of you out there are as old as I am. I'm a bit of a fossil. I can't believe I'm talking about something that instantly came to mind from 35 years ago in the House of Commons question period. John Crosby, conservative, attacked Liberal MP Sheila Copps. This was iconic. He this catapulted, accelerated her rise to political stardom, because Sheila Copps then hit back. This was genuinely a sexist attack on a female political opponent. John Crosby, 35 years ago in the House of Commons. Maybe you'll remember it, maybe you won't. If you don't remember it, you're not going to forget it after seeing it here.
The short answer is just quieten down, baby. In other words, cop out.
I am in receipt of a notice of privilege from the honourable member for Hamilton East.
Mr. Speaker, earlier in the House today, I was told by the Minister of Justice to quiet down, baby. Subsequent to that, the self-same minister referred to myself and some of my colleagues as titmice. And I would like to inform the House, Mr. Speaker, I would like to inform the House and those Conservatives who find this very humorous that I am a member of Parliament, 32 years old, elected to represent the people of my area, and I resent the comments of the minister who is responsible for the equality of women in this country. I resent his remarks in the House talking about quiet down, baby. I'm not his baby, and I'm nobody's baby, and I'd like him to withdraw those remarks.
I'm nobody's baby. That exchange it just accelerated her political career, and she became a political star for a while. As you may recall, she even wrote a book, Nobody's Baby. I remember walking through shopping malls and going by bookstores, which were still in existence back in 1985. I think the book came out shortly after that. And it was right there front and center on the windows, and they sold a lot of copies. And yeah, Sheila Copps instantly brought that back in my old noggin up here. But I'll tell you, it was a different scenario. John Crosby deserved what he got from her, because it was what he was doing was he was clearly attacking her in a sexist manner. And she taught him a lesson. It cost him. And she benefited. But what happened here with Carney, I didn't see, maybe you see it differently. Was what he said, was that sexist? Am I missing something here? I think she's just using it as a shield. It's just I was shocked to see her instantly go to that. I thought, of all people to play the feminist card, the woman card, the don't attack me, I'm a woman. thing, I found it distasteful. Straight up. Now, before we go to the phones, there's one other thing I need your help with tonight. So it's a bit of a challenge, some homework for you guys, and it is to do with Mark Carney. So this post has been going around, and I've been trying to verify it. So here it is. There it is. All right. Right there. Mark Carney is insane. This is supposed to be a quote from his book Values, which I said, you know, if I can get the time to finish reading it, maybe we'll dig into it and do a little bit of a review of the whole thing online to find out what's really in Mark Carney's head and what he has actually said in the past and how maybe he still continues to think. But there's this quote that apparently comes from his book. And it's making the rounds. Now, I don't know if this Chris Sankey on X is the guy who first posted this, or I kind of doubt it, but it's making the rounds. So this is what it's supposed to be quoted. Western society is morally rotten and it has been corrupted by capitalism. This requires rigid controls of personal freedoms, industry, and corporate funding. This is not a promise to make the lives of ordinary people better, but temporarily worse. This will be a world of severely constrained choice, less flying, less meat, more inconvenience, and temporarily more poverty. Assets will be stranded, gasoline cars will be unsellable, and inefficient properties will be unrentable. And it says here that this is from Mark Carney. It's a direct quote from his book, Values: Building a Better World for All. So I thought, well, okay, is that true? Is that really what he said? Instantly, I got a little bit suspicious because there are some punctuation errors in here. And because there are punctuation errors, I'm thinking, well, I don't know. Mark Carney is a well-educated person who wrote a book, who likely had it proofread before he had it published. So why would there be punctuation errors? So instantly I became suspicious of it. I then started to dig in, and I've been kind of going through the book when I've had some time, going through it. And this is just one of a number of quotes that I'm trying to verify as being authentic. So far I haven't been able to find it, but what I was able to find is a review of the book from a man by the name of Peter Foster. And it goes back a couple of years at least. And this is a review by Peter Foster in the National Post. Here, I'll show you the actual review. And I found it interesting because as I read the review in the National Post, that's where I found the quotes. Not from Mark Carney, but from Peter Foster. At least that's the way it appears. At least some of them. So here it is here in his book Values: Building a Better World for All. Mark Carney, former governor, both of the Bank of Canada and Bank of England, claims that Western society is morally rotten and that it has been corrupted by capitalism, which has brought about a climate emergency that threatens life on Earth. This, he claims, requires rigid controls on personal freedom, industry, and corporate funding. But that's not in quotations. That's him saying it. Paraphrasing, perhaps? I'm not sure. Carney's views are important because he is a UN Special Envoy on Climate Action and Finance. He is also an advisor both to British Prime Minister Boris Johnson on the next big climate conference in Glasgow, blah, 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 blah. This isn't current because those events, because they've passed. So as I read the review, I'm actually finding the language, some of the language in the quote in the review, which Peter Foster said. It's not Carney saying it. It's Peter Foster saying or assessing what Carney has said, or what he says Carney says. But did he actually say it? I can't find the quotes. What I have been able to find is little snippets here and there. So it appears to me that what that quote is, it's a mishmash of things. It's a little piece of a quote from the book here, another little one from over there, and then some actual language from the review, which is not Carney. It's this reviewer who is very harsh and critical of Carney. So it doesn't even look like it's accurate and may be taken out of context. So here's what I'm going to ask you guys to do. You can find that book, Values, online for free. There's a free copy. I'll just Google it, Mark Carney, Values, and you can view it online. I'm encouraging everybody to go on the internet, find the book, and help me see if you can find that quote. I want to find it. I want to see if that's true, because it's not about liberal, conservative. I do this on either side. I don't like lies. I don't like inaccurate information being distributed all over the internet, confusing people. If it's true, it's true. If it isn't, it isn't. I just want to know what the truth is. I haven't been able to find that. No question about it. Mark Carney, concerned about climate change. No question about it. He has advocated for carbon taxes. No question about those things. And no question he talks about this stuff in his book. But to what degree and exactly what is he saying with regard to these things, I would submit that so far what I'm seeing is there's a heavy possibility that that quote is taking information out of context and exaggerating and taking real liberties with what is said in that book to get people upset. I'm not convinced that Carney says what they say he's saying. Go to the book. Let's find out together exactly what the truth is. And then on another night, we'll get into the book a little bit deeper and talk about exactly what it is that he says. What does the guy really believe? And we'll find something about Poilievre as well. And we'll kind of hold his feet to the fire too and find out, where these guys stand on a lot of these issues. So there's a challenge for you. Help me out. Be a citizen journalist. Help get us closer to the truth. Now, with all that, let's go to the phones to give you guys a voice. Let's take a little break. I'll get the phone line set up, and you can weigh in and tell me, am I off base with my assessment of Danielle Smith? Or, what's your view? I'm interested to know. Here's the number to call. Okay, Mavericks, it's call-in time. Join the conversation. Call 1-647-734-4220. Then enter the PIN number 860-075-764, followed by the pound sign. Exercise your right to free speech. Call 1-647-734-4220. Then enter the PIN number 860-075-764, followed by the pound sign. Call 1-647-734-4220. Then enter the PIN number 860-075-764, followed by the pound sign. Maverick News. Call now. The world is watching and listening to you. Okay, we have our first caller of the night on the line, and I think I know who it is. Let's bring him in. Is that you, Sir John, from out in Alberta land?
It's Rimby John, my friends. No, Rickster, it's Tequila Sheila calling in.
Tequila Hey, I forgot.
That was the famous line, bro. Tequila Sheila from Crosby. Don't you remember that?
Oh, yeah. Oh, well.
You got to play that clip. Tequila Sheila.
Oh,
they had an ongoing bloodbath there in Parliament for months.
Yeah. They didn't like
it was
other.
hilarious.
Oh, man. Those were the days, man.
Oh, those were the days, my friend. I wish we can go in the time machine. But Coleman Carney, I thought that's a funny joke with my Danielle Smitty.
Sorry, what's that, John? What's that?
I got a kick out of Coleman Carney hitting up Danielle Smitty. I thought that joke was hilarious.
Well, kind of. Like, I think it was just, he's just stating the obvious. Like, she is taking completely different, she's off on her own little mission. And so he's like, yeah, we're not sending her because, she's not on our team. So that's the way I took it. But
she's got a pretty good sense of humor, I think. She's the next talk show radio girl, out of Calgary. So she's got a pretty thick skin, but you're beating up on Alberta. I'm going to beat up on Quebec. Who beat Alberta to kiss the ring at Mar-a-Lago? The Premier of Quebec was there a week earlier than Alberta. If you remember that. Yeah. Quebec
that was
beats Alberta to the punch.
John. That was before all this tariff stuff even started. When Quebec went down there.
Absolutely.
So, but both these premiers are separatists, as far as I'm concerned, and so when Quebec went down there, it wasn't because of the tariffs. That was just him trying to assert his province's status, I guess, as a nation within a nation. And so that's why he went down to Mar-a-Lago, which that's not very Team Canada like either, is it?
Well, I do, Rick. I hate to admit it, but I think Danielle Smithy baby, I think she's a separatist.
Oh, yeah.
I think she's a 51st skater girl.
I'm pretty sure. Yep.
And I think she's got some outstanding debts she owes to some people that got her elected, I think. I don't know. I think.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure, too. I think you got people like the... Take Back Alberta folks, and you got the Alberta Prosperity Project out there, and they're integrated right in there with the UC peers, and I think they maybe helped her get elected or selected to her position.
We're right in there with General Valley from Montana, Rickster.
There seem to be some dots connecting there, John, there in Alberta land.
Well, I think Danielle Smith, she's lowering, she's kind of coming out a little more. I think she's the big time separatist girl there, Rickster.
I don't think there's any question about it. Yeah. I mean,
if it looks like a duck and it's floating in the pond and it quacks, Rick, and it's yellow, it might be a duck.
Oh yeah. Although, here's another thing, John. This is off topic a little bit. My parents came down here today. And I went for lunch with them, and on the way over we went to Harvey's. Hey, Canada fast food, fine dining with my parents because
did you have the Arby's coupons, Rickster? You got the coupons in the mail?
No, not Arby's, Harvey's. But anyway.
Did you get the coupons in the mail?
No, because I don't eat out anymore because it's just too darn expensive. When I got the bill, that's the whole other thing. It was like $40 to have lunch with my parents today. Oh yeah.
You got to be kidding!
I am not freaking kidding, John. I had a heart attack, not because of the cholesterol, but because of the price tag.
Bro, that's why I don't go out. You get 2 small cheeseburgers for $5 with the coupons, anyway, bro.
It's okay. This is not what I'm talking about. What I'm trying to tell you is, on the way over, there were these Canada geese, and they're crossing the road, and there are a bunch of them, and the reason they were crossing the road, you want to know why the Canada goose crossed the road?
To get to the other side, Rich.
Because the tent city that is across the road from the Harvey's restaurant that has been there since last fall. Okay. That's when it was set up. And there are probably about a dozen people, maybe over a dozen tents set up where people have been living there. The Canada geese have lost their home to the homeless people who have set up the tents. And so it's down on the riverfront here, the Thames River, and the geese, they're being pushed out by the homeless people. So they're out wandering around on the roads and they're blocking traffic. I'm going to go down and get pictures of it maybe tomorrow or another day this week to show everybody what's going on. And, in my view, this is why the policies of the Liberal government are so misguided. I said to my parents, when all this stuff started around here? When they legalized marijuana and they liberalized the drug laws. And because we've got these,
it's a door opener, right? It's a gateway drug, right?
Yeah, and then and just the attitudes. Even when you listen to CBC radio, I hear them talking about things like LSD and other hard drugs, and just being very tolerant of it. And just since the legalization of marijuana, it's just normalized drug use more in our society. And now I've been down. I've talked to the people in these tent cities. I'm sorry, but virtually all of them have drug problems. That's at the core of the issue. And that's what got Justin Trudeau elected to begin with. I'm going to legalize weed.
Well, Rick, there are 2 marijuana shops in my little small town of Rimbey, Alberta.
Yeah.
2 marijuana shops in the middle of nowhere, and it's
And I'm not saying that these people are there because they're smoking marijuana. I'm saying that they're there because of just the general attitude toward drug use has been more normalized. And so these people are addicted to hard drugs. And it wasn't long after they opened the marijuana shops that we got the magic mushroom shop and selling the LSD and all of that stuff here in town too. And it finally shut down only a few months ago, and it had been open for probably a year and a half, 2 years, and nothing was done. Police never went. I don't know, man. It's just, I'm sorry, but in this town, I've just never seen anything like this here. When I moved here many years ago, no homelessness at all. Rarely would you see anybody, really never would you see anybody living on the street.
Well,
now,
Rick, on the marijuana thing, I'm a little older than you. I tried it a couple of times. It put me to sleep. You remember? Do you remember Wreck Beach in Vancouver, British Columbia? That famous Wreck Beach.
I know of it. I can't say I have been there.
Well, yeah. we used to go down there, and you'd get marijuana cookies or marijuana brownies or whatever. And I'm talking I'm older than you. I'm going in the time. I'm talking over 40 years ago.
Yeah.
But it never did anything for me. It put me to sleep.
Yeah. But so let's pivot back to the Danielle Smith thing. What's your view on her comment? Do you think that what Carney said was sexist in any way, or or not?
No, not at all. I mean, come on. Has everybody lost their sense of humor? Come on. Yeah, I thought it was hilarious. Smitty, she's getting a thin skin, Rickster. I don't know what's wrong with my Danielle Smitty. I support her. I don't always agree with her, but she's getting a little thin skinned, eh?
Well, I just thought it was a little rich coming from her. If that had been a New Democrat or a liberal, I could understand why they would say that. That would be expected. But coming from her, a woman who has been critical of progressive politics, a woman who has been critical of wokeism, if you want to call it that, a woman who has been critical of feminism itself, to then come out and play the female victim card because Carney says that he wouldn't send her onto Fox News or to go negotiate with Trump.
Rick, she's pulling a tequila Sheila, Danielle Smitty. She's pulling a tequila Sheila.
See, I don't remember the context of the tequila Sheila quote exactly. I remember the I'm nobody's baby thing. I remember that.
No. It went on from there, Rickster. If you go back,
I remember they were always sparring and feuding, and they hated each other.
John Crosby, his most famous line was tequila Sheila.
Yeah.
He gave her another couple of shots in Parliament there. That went on for months, that bantering back and forth. I remember that. That was hilarious.
Oh, man. Well, that was certainly entertaining, and that was a different time. feminism. I would say it was a slightly different kind of feminism at that time.
Well, he gave her. She was an unknown before he made the baby comments in Tequila Sheila. Old John Crosby. He had a wicked sense of humor, and of course John Crosby was a Newfoundlander, wasn't he? A Nova Scotia guy with a pretty good sense of humor.
Well, he was old school for sure, right? So.
Oh, he raised her into stardom, old Tequila Sheila Cops. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, that went on for months, Rick, back and forth. And and she could give it back too. Tequila Sheila. Oh, she was a feisty. She fired right back at old Crosby there. But those are the good old days, Rick.
Oh yeah, well, he was. You can tell from his accent he was from Newfoundland, but he was He was a very powerful conservative politician. He. Prominent voice within the Conservative Party, but he was old school, man, and that was not just a battle between two political heavyweights on the culture war front. It was generational, right?
Well, Rick, and I mean, John Crosby was twice her age. He could have been her grandpa. Yeah. I mean, he was from a different era, and I'm sure he was twice her age. Tequila Sheila, she could have been his daughter or granddaughter, but I remember that was hilarious.
Yeah.
Rick, why are they so thin-skinned now? Nobody has a sense of humor anymore.
Well, I don't think that, all I'm saying is Danielle Smith didn't need to laugh at it. She could have. I just, to me, it was like, what? To play the female victim card over that.
Well, she's getting up on her BS Alberta soapbox for the world. Why doesn't Danielle Smitty go on Fox News with Doug Ford?
I thought her response was funny, and hypocritical, and there's irony there. It's like, he's just a progressive male. He attacking what? What the hell are you talking about, man? Woman. It's funny.
I'm a woman and it make me strong. That song. Smitty, she's pretty thin-skinned.
I guess she is.
But Rick, I can't believe you dropped $40 at Harvey's, bro.
Oh, I'm sorry, John. I don't know. I didn't have any coupons. I just.
Oh man, I'm Jewish. I'm going to get in trouble for that comment. I'm a Jewish Hampton Hutterite Norwegian. Even if you don't have the coupons, Rick, sir, ask for them.
I hadn't thought of that. My dad had a CAA card. We got a discount that way, but and he was fishing for his card with a big lineup of people behind us, and I was like, oh no, they're gonna kill me. Who's on the line? We just had somebody else join.
Well, bonsoir. You have Jean Chrétien. This is your good old Dragon trying to do the impression of Jean Chrétien and get it out.
Oh, Dragon, love from Alberta. Love. Did you cash my transfer payment check this month, my friend?
Oh, jeez.
No,
okay, let's just drop all that, okay? I don't want you guys.
Kidding.
No fighting tonight.
I love Dragon. We love you.
Good.
I want to see how
John,
take you
promise
down.
me, stop, okay? Dragon. I can't have this tonight. Dragon, go ahead, sir. It's all yours.
Well, if you do remember what happened exactly with Sheila Cups, actually, the idea of Tequila Sheila was on a comment made by, what was his name again? Crosby?
John
or
Crosby.
something like that. Yeah, Crosby. Yeah, about pass the Tequila Sheila. So that's how this thing evolved to Tequila Sheila and kind of stood up.
Oh, that's right, Dragon. Pass the tequila, Sheila. Oh, yeah, you're right, Dragon. You got a better memory than me, my friend.
Yeah, he was
Actually, I do a little bit of research, too.
I only vaguely remember the Tequila Sheila thing. I don't, and I, as I said earlier, I couldn't really remember the context for it. I remember the phrase. I can't really remember the details. It was a long time ago, but this shows you how old I am and how long I've been doing this stuff, because it was instantly, I remember that exchange in the house. I'm nobody's baby. Yeah. She gave it right back to him, didn't she? And I say deservedly so. Like, that was a case where he deserved what he got from her, and she capitalized on that moment, and she used it to her political advantage. I don't think even she, though, probably realized how impactful her response was going to be. And as a result, she ended up writing her own autobiography called Nobody's Baby, and it became it sold well. It sold very well.
I actually think, guys, at the end of the day, after John Crosby and Tequila Sheila, Pastor Tequila Sheila got into it, I actually think they were good friends. I really do. You know, she had an awesome sense of humor too, Sheila Cops.
Do you think they were friends?
Well, at the end of the day, we should try and get her on the show, Tequila Sheila.
Okay, she comes from a very prominent political family. Oh yeah, that's what Cops Coliseum. You know, Cops Coliseum in Hamilton. Yeah, it's yeah.
Well, Dragon, we love you from Alberta, my friend Rickster. We've got Western Canada represented by me tonight, and Eastern Canada represented by the Dragon, and we got Central Canada represented by the Rickster out of Chatham. Yeah, we got a great mixture here, guys.
Yeah, yeah. Sheila Copps, man, she was the deputy prime minister. I think she was minister of heritage for a while. She became one of the most powerful liberal politicians in Canada. She ran for the leadership a couple of times of the party. Never made it, but very, very powerful woman. And,
well, she was a forerunner.
Really,
she had a
worthy opponent
in
to
politics,
Crosby.
actually.
I'm sorry, Dragon. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
It's okay. She had a big degree in politics. She was participated into the 1994 class of the World Economic Forum and of the Global Leader of Tomorrow. She was also advocating for marijuana, part of the Rat Pack. I don't know what that is. I got to check that out. I think that's why she was probably being attacked by Crosby for passing the vodka, basically, like advocating for drugs and probably other stuff. So,
well, guys, there'd be no Danielle Smith out of Alberta without Sheila Copps as a forerunner. Really, a very very, and she's a nice lady too.
Yeah, the Rat Pack. That was like I think 4 different Liberal MPs at the time who sort of made up like the Squad. You have the Squad today in the Democrats, and they're like a little team of political people within the party, and so they were sort of identified as the Rat Pack, and they would, they were kind of highlighted during question period and stuff like that. And there was like Brian Tobin. I think he was from out in the Maritimes too.
Hello?
And Don Boudria and John Nunziata and Sheila Copps. And yeah, somebody just joined us on the line. Who's there?
Sharon from Brandon.
Well, welcome, Sharon from Brandon.
Hello, Dragon. Hello, John from Alberta. And hello, Rick.
Hello.
Welcome, Sharon. Love, and kisses from Alberta, my dear.
Brandon, Manitoba.
Brandon, Manitoba.
Yeah, what's your take on all this tonight?
Well, I think it's kind of first thought I had, really, and I don't know how nice this sounds or not, but I thought, well, if you're going to enter the arena of politics, you have to give as good as you get, and if you're going to step into a hot kitchen, well, you might get some flame licking at you, and that's just part of the the game. I can see a legitimate, your example that you gave, Rick, with Sheila Cobbs, you were mentioning, that was just, that was quite condescending. I could see, Crosby, that was a little bit condescending.
Oh, yeah.
But,
very condescending.
Yeah. So, it could have been the age difference or whatever. I'm not necessarily assigning it to being a man or masculine. It's just, if a female had said the same thing to her in a different way, and she was much older, I would think the same thing.
Yes.
So there you go.
And so with what happened with Danielle Smith, what's your take on that? Am I off base here saying that I think it's...
No.
Yeah.
No, you're not off base. Yeah. No, you're not off base. No. I mean, if you're going to, there's certain fields of work. This is just my take. If there's certain fields of work, if you want to act like a man, or then you're gonna be treated like. You're gonna be treated like one. So there's certain fields, and I'm not saying that women aren't capable in that, but if you're going to enter a man's realm in some ways, then it's not going to be the same as if I'm going into a different field where it's more accepted female-wise over the decades or centuries. It's just, that's how I look at it. I mean, if you want to play in the big boys arena, well, and I'm sure she's capable, but you can't have it both ways, Danielle. You can't have it both ways.
That's right. That's the way I see it too.
Yeah.
So and
I have some. Oh, go ahead.
No, you go ahead. Yeah.
Well, I had some questions or comments that came to mind, and Tom, I want your, since I have this panel on, I want your perspective. I'm open to hearing your points of view about Mr. Carney, because my sense is. It's not due to any research or anything, just generally, I'm just kind of listening in and out over the past few days, and some of the different comments I hear from different programs or people. I get the sense that he is more globalist than a nationalist as far as, protecting or governing our sovereignty responsibly for the future. And I have the impression that he's very like other globalists or people in that sense of trying to get into this quote new world order of economy, where I'm the sheep and I'm the turf and the serfs and they're the kings.
Yeah.
He's open to. It seems like he welcomes the open border. He's supportive of LGBTQ policy. He's very much tied into this kind of magical thinking of climate change and reducing the carbon footprint. And I don't see how that really benefits. I don't see how that benefits overall the economic or social well-being or for a country. Am I off base, or what do you guys think?
You guys want to comment?
Go ahead, Jordan.
Well, I think you're pretty on point. What he seems to project here, it's something along the ways that, we got to accept what's coming, and we got to deal with basically the economic reality that's coming. At certain point, I think it's not going to help us because, I think the way that he's going to implement things will probably certainly get us to a more isolated stance, but at the same time, it will be to the detriment of our country.
Are you talking about Carney or Trump?
Carney.
Isolated? Why would we be
to a certain extent, we might be more isolated because we need actually to work with the American and not, cut the bridge, if you will, to a certain extent. I know that the bridge has been burning already, but.
Dragon, am I wrong, or you guys, am I wrong in saying that wasn't Carney like some type of advisor to Trudeau? Because I just see him as a continuation of these awful, like pretty like just awful policies when it comes to people's ability to afford a home or to afford grocery, or to even consider having a family now. Like a younger, if young people want to consider that having a family, I don't see the future as not bright at all under these type of policies or goal that Trudeau was working toward. And wasn't Carney part of his government at one time as a consultant or an advisor?
Mm-hmm. Well,
he did.
Manitoba.
He did provide some advice to the Trudeau government. Before becoming the leader, and that's because if you think back, Trudeau was under a lot of pressure to potentially resign, and Carney was being floated as a successor. So there were sort of trial balloons, and you could see that there were people in the party who wanted to push him forward to become leader. So Trudeau, in his wisdom, or that's a bad word for him. Okay, so he took a tactical approach, and what he did is he tried to bring Mark Carney in and offered him an advisory role first within his administration, and then you could see that he was positioning Carney to come in and be the finance minister. That was pushing Chrystia Freeland out, and then you had that mini budget, and Chrystia Freeland, they had this big deficit, as you may recall, built into that mini budget, and they were basically trying to load that onto her and make her responsible for it, so that she could then take the political hit and then clear the way for him to come in as finance minister, Trudeau remain on as prime minister. That way he neutralizes the threat to his leadership by bringing him in as finance minister, and then she could be relegated to some other role within cabinet or within the government, right? But she had none of it because she I think she got tired of putting up with his crap is what it came down to. And she said, screw you. And then the day that the mini budget was supposed to be delivered, she resigned and left him high and dry. And then they had to scramble to find somebody else to present it. And then because of that triggered the leadership review. That is what was the final nail in the coffin for Trudeau right there. Then his leadership was done. So it didn't work for him. And now Carney has come in and he is the leader. So that's, but before that he was working in an advisory capacity, working into that position as finance minister. I hope that helps.
Yeah, it does.
Well,
ahead,
Brandon, Manitoba, you are a smart lady. You are right on top of the target. You are 1,000% right with your evaluation with Carney. You got our support from Alberta.
Where do you agree, John? Like, what did I say that made you say, yep, that's what I think too?
I agree 1,000% with everything you said. You are right on top, as Rexter says. You are right on top of the target, and you're a laser beam. You're absolutely a very, very intelligent lady. And thank you for calling in.
Yeah, so there's some validity in my kind of I just don't feel I just feel uncertain, and I know that's not really a Christian way to feel, which is what, I know that whatever may come, whatever comes, it's fine. It's we'll get through it somehow. And I know that no matter what, it's going to be okay. But in the immediate present, it's just, it would be very, for me, I would feel kind of sad in a way that we may be participating in a system that I don't think is right, as far as how different leaders in certain countries look at us as as nothing. It's just someone that as I don't know how they describe it. I've heard some rather not flattering descriptions of the everyday citizen, and I just hope we all remember that we are all citizens and we all have a right to run our country as we please, as opposed to being told how to run it. Is where I feel, or where I stand, and what I think. So
you're right. You're right on the money. Right on the money.
Yeah.
You're concerned about, for instance, like these international organizations asserting influence or even control to some degree over our sovereignty, like the UN or the World Health Organization.
And I think too, yes, that's right, Rick, because I don't know how many people in Canada are paying attention enough, or just maybe they are. I don't know. I can't gauge it, but I'm just hoping, people can sense that, or be able to see that going global as opposed to focusing on our own backyard isn't good for any of us. And I'll just tell you right now, I do like considering the field we have, or the people we have running, because I'm not doing it. So bravo to those who are willing to step into the ring and fight for, what they believe in. But from what I've seen so far from the candidates, I would have to go with Poilievre. Despite, no matter what people are saying, as I'm looking at the choices, that's who I would lean toward, because it seems like, he's a younger man. He is saying things that I think a lot of people agree with, and I'm sure there's many that don't, but I just hope, I wish them all well, but I wish him well too. I really hope he's able to get in.
Okay, well, guys, Rimby John, Alberta's total Pierre Poilievre. He's a Calgary boy.
Oh, good.
Alberta's totally 100% Poilievre, and you're right on the target. You're right on the target, my dear. You're a very intelligent lady from Manitoba.
I enjoy listening to you guys.
You made my
too.
Monday. Thank you for calling in. You made my Monday. Thank you.
Well, thank you guys.
Hang on. Before you go,
okay.
we're going to put this to the test.
Okay.
Okay. I'm going to give you no cheating. Okay. I'm going to give you 2 housing plans. Here's housing plan 1 to deal with the housing crisis in Canada.
Right.
Build, and maybe you're familiar with this stuff already, are you? Have you read these plans?
No, I haven't.
Okay. So.
I've listened to you, but I haven't read the
plans. Okay, so double housing construction, that's the goal. The aim is to double the pace of new home construction in Plan A here, from an average of approximately 227,000 per year to about 500,000 homes annually over the next decade. So that's 500,000 homes a year over the next 10 years. Reduce financial barriers for home buyers, especially first-time home buyers, and enhance access to home ownership.
Right.
How? By the Build Canada Homes. I'm reading this stuff, okay? So I'm getting it right. They're going to create a federal entity, the Build Canada Homes Act. It will act as a developer to build affordable housing at scale, including on public lands, very much like they did after World War II with wartime housing. They're going to provide over $25 billion in financing. That'll be provided to innovative, prefabricated, and modular home builders in Canada. So you've got these homes that are modular in design, building at scale, and building quickly so that they can be, so you can build this many homes very, very quickly, right? Kind of like what they did in the wartime, after the war, after World War II. You look at, all the wartime houses, they tend to be a little bit smaller, but they built them fast, and they built lots for the vets coming home, right? And then they're going to provide an additional $10 billion in low-cost financing, and capital will support affordable home builders with allocations for deeply affordable housing, indigenous housing, shelters, supportive housing. They're going to cut. This is kind of where these plans differ too. In Plan A, they will cut municipal development charges in half for multi-unit residential housing. So they're going to cut fees at the municipal level. They're going to set up what they call a housing accelerator fund with $4 billion to streamline approvals and encourage 100,000 additional units to further reduce bureaucracy, zoning restrictions, red tape, and create a more unified national housing market. They're going to...
Sounds like more freedom to me.
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead, sorry.
Yep. So cut red tape. And that's a major stumbling block, especially at the municipal level, right? All these regulations for home builders. And I've been to home builders associations meetings and they talk about it's a nightmare. You wouldn't believe the regulations. Anyway, then they're going to eliminate the GST on first-time home buyers on new and substantially renovated homes. Saving first-time home buyers up to $50,000.
Holy man.
Then they're going to, in Plan A, support innovations like mass timber construction, low carbon concrete to enhance energy efficiency, to make them energy efficient, right? And it goes on. And so you've got a plan that's really drawing inspiration from the wartime housing thing. So they're providing financing for both developers, for consumers, especially for first-time home buyers, to help them get into their first house, and that's why they're building smaller homes, and they're going to free up basically federal land or public land where they can build these houses at scale. All right? And the federal government will step in and free up those lands. So here's plan number 2. Plan B. Increase the housing supply, boost the number of homes annually by 15% a year if they can. Increase the, we'll get into how they're going to do this because that's really the most important thing.
Yeah, that's it, yeah.
Okay, so they're going to provide funding tied to housing starts for municipalities and penalties for municipalities. So municipalities have to increase housing starts by 15% annually to receive their full share of federal infrastructure funding. And if they don't meet that target, then the funding is reduced proportionally. So if you hit your target, you get more federal money. If you don't hit your target for new housing starts, you get less federal money. Municipalities that block developments using whatever, if there's any opposition and they don't allow these things to happen, these housing starts, then there would be penalties levied against the municipalities. They want to build these homes in areas that are close to public transit. They are going to eliminate the GST. This is a similar thing on both sides for first-time home buyers. They're going to repurpose federal properties. So they're going to sell off 15% of the federal government's 37,000 buildings, I guess empty government buildings. They're going to sell them and then convert them into affordable housing. So if you have a government office building downtown someplace, the plan is to convert those into, I guess, apartments of some kind. And then they're going to cut the GST to eliminate initiatives like the $4 billion Housing Accelerator Fund, get rid of that, and the $6 billion Canada Housing Infrastructure Fund, replace that with some other plans. They're going to go after municipalities again that delay building permits beyond a set timeline, and they'll be penalizing municipalities if they don't comply. And get these things approved within 60 days. What else?
Sounds
Just
familiar. That sounds too familiar to
So what
we've been
else?
living with for a long time.
They're going to provide more training for skilled workers to put more tradespeople into the workplace. They're going to there's a tax capital gains tax deferral to but that doesn't help first time home buyers. That's over time to people who already own homes. They're going to pass new legislation. I'm just looking for money here. That doesn't really look to be, other than the GST tax cut, I'm not really seeing any money or financing in here that I'm seeing at all. And so they're trying to basically cut red tape and provide a GST tax cut. And but the other one provides funding and finance, not straight up funding, but financing for developers and for first time home buyers through through these programs. So there's plan A and plan B. So which one do you like better?
Well, the first plan sounds like the decisions or choices are made by individuals, or it sounds more like sounds like more freedom to me, freedom of choice when financing is involved, and developers have the freedom to choose what they'd like to do.
Right.
And I really like. Oh, does someone wanted to say something?
No, I just said right. I'm agreeing with you.
I agree. I agree when you were talking about this before, Rick, a while ago, about how they were able to provide housing shortly after the Second World War for the veterans or soldiers coming back and veterans coming back. I mean, and I like the idea of opening up the market, or opening up the choice to developers and individuals, because the second plan sounds like the government has the control. The government makes the decision as far as when it comes to telling or controlling, or penalizing municipalities, which is where we all live. We all live in a municipality, and there's a timeline. And if you don't get it done by this time, then we're going to penalize you, and we're going to some of the things I was writing as you were speaking. Selling off a certain percentage of federal property to become affordable housing, or to have affordable housing close to a city transit. Well, I lean towards your plan A, because I like the fact that there's freedom of choice and there's more freedom to choose how and where people want to live. Whether it's a businessman who wants to create and develop whatever he wants to do, he's not under the thumb or control of a government or a government employee or department. That's how I look at it. What do you guys think?
Well, Brandon, Manitoba, Rick didn't tell you, but plan one, I think, Rickster, that's Carney. Plan two is Poilievre. I like both of them.
Well,
plan two is Poilievre?
We don't know. We don't know that yet, and I'm not going to say yes or no to either of those things. Dragon, what do you think?
I like both of them.
You like both of them? And so what do you think, Dragon? He's guessing which is which. Dragon, what do you like?
Well, I think that the first option is the best, and I would also add that we could also look into more affordable housing, like those that I'm living into, like basically from the province, that can you can probably rent some places for 25% of your revenue.
So I think that plan A is a plan that is more likely to succeed and achieve its goal, because it is providing government assistance in financing, not straight up like we're going to give people money, but it's providing liquidity in the market. So it's freeing up to developers. It's providing capital so that you can stimulate the development and help them build. And then you're also providing assistance to first-time home buyers, or even other home buyers, through a financing program that gives them access to funds to then get mortgages to buy the houses that are built. And then because you're investing, you really are then investing in one of the best forms of investments, which is real estate. You're building communities, you're building the ability for people to build lives, have jobs, have families, communities. You're going to have then strip plazas built around them and businesses. And you're providing the means to finance that through mortgages with some government assistance. But because there's equity being built there, it's very low risk for the government, because you're building value and wealth into your society and your economy, and that comes back, right? Tenfold.
You said that very well.
So that's a very viable plan. And that shows me that that's somebody who really understands how the economy works. The other plan, I see this approach quite often, especially in municipal politics, when it's like, well, we need housing, we'll get a government building and we'll just convert it into affordable housing. That's plan B. And then, and if municipalities don't fall into line, we'll take this heavy-handed approach and we will penalize them. And we won't send any government money to them. We're going to punish you if you don't do as we say.
I don't like that.
But,
okay, so
Rick,
there's something like that actually. Hold on, there's something like that actually that is part of what is in Quebec with affordable housing, like the one I'm living at. They have a certain quota, if you will, of people that they have to have the apartment filled in, and if they don't, they can lose some of the provincial incentive or or stuff like that. So
So there are those things
that explain well
built into it. Now, both of them are providing tax breaks through the GST elimination for first-time home buyers. That's substantial and that's very helpful. But the other plan understands that in order for people to buy a house, you need to be able to finance a house and then pay it off over time. So it's providing a program for that. Now, which do you think is which?
Well, Rick Rimby, during COVID-19, with the lockdowns in Alberta, I think it was in 2021, 22, there was a program. There were empty office towers in Calgary, Alberta. I mean, literally empty. And some of them, they put them into, I think, a federal program to, like you say, to repurpose an office building into residential housing for homeless seniors, whatever. The cost to do that was beyond outrageous. It was easier to build a brand new building, and furthermore, and this is a true story. There's a 10-story courthouse building, brand new. It's a year old in Red Deer. $225 million of oil money. Danielle Smith piddled away. They didn't even have the building done, and they were chewing up the sidewalks because they screwed the whole building up.
So I want to try and stay focused on the conversation here, though, which is, which plan do you guys like better, Plan A or Plan B? Well, I think we've agreed. I think across the board, the Plan A is. I'm not sure, but okay. Our Manitoba caller tonight. Which plan do you like better?
I like the longer term. I like the longer term approach, or what is it? No, it's not longer term, Rick. The way you described it, it's almost like one builds upon another.
Yes.
One creates more and more, as opposed to the other one kind of being stagnant or just. Go ahead.
It's actually unleashing the free market, is what it's doing.
Yeah, that's it.
It's giving people a hand up, not a handout. It's not. Using government control, it's using it's government helping private business then take action. It's allowing private consumers to buy homes privately. So it's encouraging home ownership, not renting, not having geared to income government housing built in renovated or transformed government office buildings that are redundant or being sold off or repurposed, or maybe turned into condos or whatever they were planning to do. And maybe that would end up being private home ownership through condos near public transit. But I'll tell you right now, you like Mark Carney, because that's his plan. That's why I'm more pragmatic about these things than a lot of other people.
That's Carney's plan.
That's
Okay,
Carney's
wow.
plan. And I'm not that surprised, because regardless of what you're seeing with all of the political rhetoric and the propaganda and the political hit jobs, because there's an election on, right? That's just what goes on.
Well, thank you for saying that. That helps too. That helps me to kind of shake my head again. Okay, go ahead. I didn't mean to cut you off.
Sure, because he is at the end of the day an economist. And while he does talk about things like carbon taxes and climate change, he's pragmatic, I think, as well. And he understands that, over the last decade, 20 years even, maybe even longer, the world has been moving toward these progressive ideas. And so he goes, you can't go against the grain all the time. And so he sees also that there's still, even if you look at what goes on in Russia at the Petersburg Economic Forum, the St. Petersburg Economic Forum, which is their version of the World Economic Forum. It's just on the BRICS nations side. Like, they talk about these things too over there: electric vehicles, wind turbines, all that, carbon capture, all that stuff. Carney is just saying, like, at the end of the day, he's an economist, and he's far more conservative and free market oriented than Justin Trudeau. And he understands how markets work, how financing works. And so he also understands that he understands that unleashing the power of the free market is what will get the job done. And that's where the financing stuff comes in. That's why it's so pivotal. And yet I'm surprised, actually, that Poilievre, being the conservative, didn't initially embrace these free market principles in his plan to begin with. And so as I began to look at this a while back, I was kind of like, well, I like what Poilievre is doing, because that seems to be more conservative and fiscally conservative than what you were getting from Trudeau, because you're at least getting the tax break, but there's no real assistance there. But with Carney, you're getting the tax breaks plus the realization that a government program giving access to funding, capital.
Yeah.
You have to have the capital, or you don't have the activity. If people don't have any money, nothing happens. So he understands that's why it's a better plan, in my view.
I'm just
flabbergasted, right?
But Rick Rimby, I have a question for my friend from Brandon, Manitoba. Okay, Dragon, if you vote the Liberals in again and you in Ontario, Alberta's gone. Take that check to the bank. Alberta's gone, one way or the other.
Well,
how does Manitoba feel about
thanks
that?
for holding that economic gun to our head, just like Donald Trump.
Well, no. I mean, how does Manitoba feel about that? No, you got 24 seats, Dragon, in Quebec. You got 24 seats in Ontario. If you vote Carney in, kiss Alberta goodbye. Like, well, how's Manitoba feel about that?
That would be. Go ahead, Dragon.
I'm going to vote Bloc Québécois.
I'm shocked by that vote. Shocked.
I'll say this, John. I'll say this, John. I've been listening to some of these separatists, including people like these lawyers, Mr. Rath and Mr. Keith Wilson.
Mr. Keith Wilson?
And here's my rebuttal. It ain't as simple as those guys are making it out to be.
Oh, absolutely. I'm totally in agreement. I want to get Brandon, Manitoba.
Yeah.
What is your opinion? And you're a very intelligent lady. If Quebec votes the Liberals in, Coleman, Mark Carney, and Ontario, I'm telling you right now, Alberta is gone one way or the other, and we'll take Saskatchewan with us.
So you Albertans out there would kiss Canada goodbye over one election of a Liberal government. You would kiss the whole country goodbye because the Liberals got elected.
We've had a gutful of it for 50 years.
Yeah.
We're done.
Is that right? Wow. Yeah.
What's your position from Manitoba? Because Manitoba leans east sometimes and west. It depends how the wind is blowing. Right, Brandon?
Yeah.
No,
Yeah,
and
right now
that's a fair comment. No, we love Manitoba.
No,
from
that's a
Alberta,
fair
but I mean,
comment. Yeah.
you guys have always, if the wind's blowing east, you lean east. If it's blowing west, you lean. You've always been that kind of that middle child. So what's the position of Manitoba?
At least don't.
She's afraid to tell
Don't
you.
lean against the wind when you fight.
I think
Doug, come on.
I think I'm still in shock that what Rick was talking about a little bit. I still kind of have to take that in as far as Carney's future look at housing and here in Canada. That makes me stop and think.
Yeah.
However, honestly, I would hope that Poilievre would seriously look at or adopt this mindset or view on how government can help, not government control, but how government can help.
And now I'm just looking this stuff up, and there might be other aspects to the Poilievre plan that I haven't uncovered here, but that's what I was able to find, and I've looked it up before, and I think that's fairly accurate. But go ahead, John.
Okay, but Brandon, Manitoba, you were boots on the ground, my dear. You were there. Thank you for calling in. Please call in again, because we got nobody from Manitoba. We got you now. What is the boots on the ground feeling in Manitoba right now? Boots on the ground happening. If Liberals get in or Poilievre, how you feel about that?
Personally, I would still vote and have faith in Poilievre.
You're with Alberta
I still would do.
With you.
Yeah, I still think that he's open. I don't know, but I hope that Poilievre listens to this show, and I hope that he's. I really do, and I hope that he stops to listen to people calling in from Canada on your show, Rick. And I just think that I just like the fact that he's a younger man, he has a young family, and he can relate to a lot of what people his age are going through. And from what I've heard in his speeches in the past, and I just think we need a fresh new start, and I'm hoping that good people will surround him like you guys. So
you know what my big concern,
thanks, guys.
You know what my big concern is here, just before we sign off?
Yeah.
All the people, all the voices out there calling for Canada to become the 51st state, or at least Alberta to become the 51st state, or maybe the whole country. All those voices, what side of the political aisle do they come from? Every single one of them. All the influencers, all the political people, but especially the online influencers. What side are they coming from? Conservative. Everyone. And there's a network of them, and they're all in lockstep. Every single one of them.
Oh, God.
Every one of them. Think about it. You go watch your videos, and then you ask yourself, what are they advocating for? Who are they supporting? And they're all supporting Poilievre. Every one of them, and they're calling for the breakup of Canada and for us to become the 51st state. Every single one. No, you go find me one on the other side.
That's not good either.
No, you go find me one on the other side that's calling for Canada to join the U.S. on the other side of the political spectrum. You won't find a single voice. So that's my concern. So I'm wondering,
that's a good point.
Who is being genuine here? Who's being honest with us? I think it's very hard to know.
Yeah, that's it. Who's being honest with us?
Yes. Yeah. So at the end of the day, I would just caution everyone, take everything you're seeing online with a grain of salt. And just remember that there is an election ongoing, and both sides are engaging in political smears. There's a lot of lying going on. And it's hard to know who the good guys are, who the bad guys are, and who the true Canadian patriots are. It's very difficult to know.
Yeah, good point. Good point.
So, well, Rick, it's Rimby.
Yeah.
I have a special request. I don't know if you can do it or not.
I can't.
We have nobody in Manitoba.
Okay.
And I think this lady, this wonderful, intelligent
Sharon, right?
Brandon,
Sharon?
Manitoba.
Yeah.
Sharon. I think I vote for her to be knighted, Rickster. We have nobody from Manitoba.
You want me to knight Sharon?
A special request
from
Rimby John out of Alberta to knight this lady from Manitoba. Brandon, love ya.
Well, I can do it. She won't be able to hear it though, John, because she's in the.
That's okay, but can you do that?
Well, I enjoyed you guys too.
My
so
request.
thank you.
Okay, well, don't go away, Sharon. We need you on the other side of this, but okay.
Hang on, Sharon.
We hereby collectively tonight knight you, Sir Sharon.
We, the Maverick family, do hereby dub thee an official Maverick Knight, freedom fighter extraordinaire. May your courage and devotion to freedom and truth become a shining example to the people of our world and the Maverick universe. Maverick News. The world is watching.
Okay, Sharon.
Yeah.
Sir Sharon, you have to promise now to always use your super knightly powers for good and never for evil. Ever. Only for good deeds. And
That's right.
And that's the Maverick way. So,
well, I enjoyed you guys. See, thank you so much.
Oh wow, this has been the best call of all of April, Sharon.
So far,
thank you from Manitoba. We love you.
You set the bar high,
Friendly
Sharon.
Manitoba. Friendly Manitoba.
Yeah. Thank you so much for calling in tonight. We really appreciate it.
Okay, thank
All
you.
right, see ya.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
It's better than the member
Stay on the
card.
line. Don't hang up.
No, she's going.
Okay, we need a final comment from you. Hey, don't hang up.
You want another final comment from her? I thought that was it.
No,
okay,
we
but
need
Sharon,
a final
go ahead,
comment
give
around
us
the show
a
here.
super final comment.
Well, I'll see you guys on the other side.
There you go. That's perfect. That's perfect. If there you
on the flip side.
Oh well, you know with that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, what else can I say? What do you want to hear tonight, Sharon? Our closing song. Let you get to.
I like the original, the first song that you ever did about Cosmo. I like Cosmo.
Free Dog. Okay.
Free Dog.
Ladies and gentlemen, here it is. One more time. I'll see everybody back here tomorrow night, 7 p.m. Eastern.
On the flip
On
side.
the flip
On the flip
side.
side, love you, Dragon. Love from Alberta, bro. Love you, love you, love you.
Take it away, Cosmo.
Good night.
Well, I heard old Cosmo howling last night up on the hill where the moon shines so bright. He was singing a tune, lonesome dogs cry about freedom, running and touching the sky. If I leave here tomorrow, would you still remember me? Cosmo's free, running wild, wild as the wind can be. He's a free dog, he's a free dog, he's a free dog. Cosmo's got them paws that just itch to roam. He's chasing his dreams, he's far from home. With a heart full of love and a spirit so free, he's living his life wild and carefree. If I leave here tomorrow, would you still remember me? Cosmo's free, running wild, wild as the wind can be. He's a free dog, he's a free dog, he's a free dog. He's got the stars in his eyes, the wind in his fur, a tail that wags like it's never heard of the blur. Cosmo's on a journey, he's got no chains. He's running through fields, breaking all the lanes. Now the night's getting cold and the sky's turning gray. But Cosmo's still out there, he's miles away. He's not looking back, he's got his path to tread. With every step, he's leaving his bed. If I leave here tomorrow, would you still remember me? Cosmo's free, running wild. wax like it's never heard a bird. A heart full of love and a spirit so free. He's living his life wild and carefree. He's got the stars in his eyes, the wind in his bird, a tail that wags like it's never heard a word. Cosmos on a journey, he's got no chains. He's running through fields, breaking all the lanes.
This has been a Maverick Multimedia production.